Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Tony Talks and Get Up and Grow. I'm your host, Tony, and today, as every day, I have conversations with inspirational leaders, influencers, and change makers, people that aren't just doing well in life, that are doing good in the world by giving back, by contributing a bit of who they are, whether it be their time, whether it be their resources, whether it be their wisdom, whatever it is. And today is Marketing Mondays, and you know what that means. I have the great, the one and only, the founder of Groundswell Marketing and so many other great things, the one and only Scott Martin. What's up, brother?
Yo.
Nice.
I just noticed these here, right? I'm like, oh, fuck, I should just do that, like right up to the camera or something crazy. But it was innovative. I got, yes, let's do this thing.
The UPW little.
Yeah, they kind of, I mean, it was a good notion. They didn't get executed as probably the level they were thinking, but it was still smart. It was a great way to visually, like, to do it. So that was kind of a cool visual cue that they did, and it sort of demonstrates the change in the way that people are communicating, sharing emotion, connecting. I just got off a call from guys that are working with Neil Patel and some other amazing individuals around NAI for conferences, and I got a first look at it. It's freaking amazing for how virtual conferences are going to start looking. Like this whole Zoom thing and stuff that we're doing right now, it's like changing so fast. It's amazing.
Yeah. Well, listen, what Tony did 3 weeks ago, was nothing short of magic, right? I mean, putting together 23,500 people or 23,000 people, whatever it was. Never mind the groups, the people that had 3 and 4, and I think there was a group in Chile that had like 35 people in a room, and all these things were going on. The amount of people that are able to be reached, and the technology and everything else is just astounding. And it's growing by leaps and bounds every day. There's new technological breakthroughs and new things that are happening. We just don't know about them because we'll probably know about them in a couple of months. But it's just amazing. Technology is a thing of wonder and scary and all at once.
Yeah, well, the tech that's going to go around us doing video-to-video communications is going to go explosive. So just as one platform, I was like really excited. I was working with the developer when he's first ideating the idea and sharing some ideas on, because I have a lot of experience with creating events, even though I despise marketing events. I don't despise being at them. I don't despise people doing them. From a marketing standpoint, they're like the most challenging things in the world because an event has a deadline. You can't it's like all this inertia and energy going into getting this event, and then it just dissipates, right? So if you're going to use marketing systems and methodologies that are about repeating, creating systems, which is my DNA, it's all about the rapid. And so a lot of people come to me because I know how to do that real rapid tsunami level of traffic, but it's so exhausting because you're like, that she just, you've got all that momentum. You should keep it going. But the events, half the event, they're like Bedouin. They just pack up their stuff and they just go. So I actually, and the amount of stress, because it all comes down to the sales. You don't get your sales to the last minute, and on and on and on. When I helped Sean Calgi with his event, I actually said that was I actually told him before I agreed to help him that my last event was with actually Richard Branson, bringing 2,000 people in Calgary. It was about a $2 million production budget, including speakers, and I vowed I was never going to do it again. And then I helped Sean, and then I said, okay, I'm never doing this again. So, but I learned a lot. I know how to market them. I can teach other people to do it. I just don't want to do it.
Yeah, no, I get it. Listen, you're at the point where you know not only what it is that you know how to do, but what you love to do, and just stay on that. There's no point in doing.
But sometimes you sometimes get caught up in like you're really good at something, and it's like you're really good at it, and people and you like it's like it is a zone of genius, but it's like you don't really enjoy it. Like you really. So that's where I'm at with it. It's like it's a zone that I've done well with, but I just don't want to do it anymore.
Yeah. Well, maybe it's time for you to create a course.
The strategy of it, I don't mind, but I just want to execute any of that.
Yeah.
I don't do it. I'm going to try to avoid any execution at this point now, if I can.
Yeah. I hear you. Well, listen, when I do my live event, and that's coming at some point, I'll tap you for the recipe for the strategy.
Well, let's talk about that right now. What are you doing in this moment right now with these people, anyone else that you're building an audience in the terms of Are you digging your well before you're thirsty? What are you doing to make it so that you can click of a button, interaction, engagement, pre-interest in it, whatever it is, pre-sale, pre-interest, make sure that you have access to that. What are you doing now to do that?
Well, for the live event, obviously that's not going to happen until 2021. So there's tons of time. Now, what I am doing is I'm starting to collect email addresses, which I was really not very good, is an understatement, at before. So, so I'm starting to collect email addresses as well. So that, because again, we've had this conversation before. I know people who've had groups of 25, 28, 30,000 people, and from one day to the next, whatever happened, Facebook just says, yeah, that group doesn't exist anymore. And away goes all of that. And we've had that talk before, so we're not going to get into it again. But so, yeah, it's about staying. And the other thing is about staying relevant, right? Staying front of mind by delivering great content, great bits of information. Obviously, I've been doing these Tony Talk shows. Now I've only been doing them 4 or 5 days a week the last 2, 3, 4 weeks. But prior to that, since March, I was doing Monday through Saturday, right? So,
I mean, you've been doing this at an unbelievable pace. Nobody can say that you have not, like, you have mastered the discipline of consistency. That's for sure.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. Well, you know, today is going to be 213 of 366 days of live video, even though it is the 214th day of the year. So I still have one to catch up on, but I'll catch up on one when I do it over this shoulder. See those beehives? I'm going to do a bee video when I'm extracting the honey, and we'll that'll be the big question. Catch me up. So listen, it is about consistency. I think it is about consistency and continuing to deliver value. And I think I'd like to believe that I am doing that. And that's what I'm doing to again, just stay front of mind and continue to deliver value. And I know that, you know, I would get messages daily about people that say, listen, I really needed to hear this. Thank you so much for doing what you're doing. So that's why I keep doing it, because it's I know that it's making an impact out there, a positive impact.
Well, I'd encourage you to continue doing your email, but you know, here's a little marketing hack for you, a little tip for you. Yeah, and I'm doing this myself. So in my Facebook, all my people that follow me in Facebook, I'm messaging them directly, and I'm sending them basically going, I've got my magazine, I'm launching it. Can you please subscribe? And I think Facebook, they limit the amount of times you can message your own group, so it caps. So, you know, I've consistently been like sending out, and I've got like, you know, 4,000 followers. I got 16,000 in my business page. Haven't even tackled any of the business pages. And then looking at also my Instagram. So I've got probably collectively about 60, 70,000 people on Instagram. So I have years worth of like this organic sort of putting out there this message. I noticed that today when I did a bunch of messages DMing on Instagram, I actually got more per, like, I could put out before being limited than I did with Facebook. So
interesting, because it's owned by Facebook, right? I mean,
I don't know why that is, because you could go through the console, and maybe I need to go on so I do that on my mobile phone. And so a lot of people, what you want to try is like, what you want to do is test and try different things. And I haven't tried using my desktop, and maybe the desktop. So what happens is, like, say you get blocked off on, hey, you've capped the amount of times you can message somebody, go on the desktop. I mean, I was going to try it today, because sometimes you go like, you do it and you're like, oh shit, you can do it again on your desktop. It's a new little find. And it's like, and because Facebook delivers, we're all delivered our Facebook page and personal profile on cohorts. And you probably didn't know this, but because I've actually worked off multiple profiles, I've noticed that the one new Facebook will release on a different one than a different one, and sometimes feature sets like what you can do on one, you can't yet do on that one or whatever. So that's why I think one of the Facebook sort of hacks doesn't really work for everybody, because some of those sort of like shortcuts don't work anymore. They work for some groups and some don't, because Facebook actually puts you on a cohort. So some people will, like, you know, some people will go, oh, you got the new. I have a black background of my Facebook, right? I did a dark version, and Craig, he saw it because I shared my screen. It's like, oh my god, I want to do that. He tried to do it. It's like, it hasn't come out for him yet. So I'm like, no. You know,
Interesting.
So some people just don't know that, but that's something to know. So I just would cut and paste your notes and send that link for offer for invite to all your Instagram people, and just do it a little bit every day.
Yeah. I love it.
I average about, just with my social media, I average about 25 maybe a day or something that just come in. That fucking adds up over time, man. It's like,
well, listen, that's 100 every 4 days.
do the math. Like, how much money would you spend to have to market over a period of 2 months to get somebody that you can guarantee the $3 that already opted into something that they want to hear from you?
Right.
No comparison.
Not even close, because it's I mean, it's time, right? Time is valuable, but you can always get a VA or somebody.
Totally. It's like, what it comes down to, most stuff that works just takes hard work.
Yeah. Well, you know, as they say, you know, when knocking on the door of opportunity, don't be surprised if it's hard work that answers.
Sure. Like, well, you know, but people want to buy the way out of what's the shortcut, and I get it. Like, you want to be resourceful, but the truth is, I'm finding more and more that the stuff that really works just takes, you know, a little extra fucking effort.
Yeah, it takes effort. I mean, look, if it was easy, everybody'd be doing it. If you could just, you know, hit one button, strike two keys, then everybody would have, you know, 2 million people following them on Instagram and Facebook, and everybody be getting paid a gajillion dollars every time they did a video. That's not the case. You know, some people, you know, if you already have celebrity behind you, then that helps you. But if you don't have celebrity behind you, building it does take time. So I'm doing more.
I'm actually finding that I've talked to a bunch of people that have massive followings, and they're finding that on a smaller group, other profiles, small nichier groups are outperforming even the largest of groups. And I think it's because there's a saturation point where no matter what you do, you just can't reach that many people. So you're almost better to have a more engaged, smaller group. So I almost think that now, and I just did a webinar with another plat, and I would say her name, except I just forgot it. I feel bad. I don't want to say it. And she had the same experience. And to me, I think that it's never before been better to be small. It's almost like the opposite. I almost thinking that if you are super big, if you want to have a meaningful impact, you're not as likely to do it. And I think people kind of keep their sort of focus on, well, how big does it need to be for this phase I'm in or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, it goes back to
as big as possible, but
yeah, it goes back to what we spoke about a couple of weeks ago, where, you know, business has been all high tech and low touch. And matter of fact, the least interaction you have, one-on-one interaction you have with your customer, the better it's been. At least that's the big company mentality. The reality of it is, now in a time of low touch, that, you know, you got to stay 6 feet apart and everything else, it's that much more important to be high tech, high touch, right? And stay connected with people. So the smaller groups make sense. The smaller groups tend to probably doing better because of that, because there's more interaction one-on-one, or maybe one to 100 or whatever it is, as opposed to 1 to infinity or whatever. When your groups are too big, nobody really sees, you don't have that connection with people. So I get that. We know it's funny that you say that, because one of the things that we were talking about briefly before coming on is I'm probably going to, you know, so what did you say? Why does McDonald's pull?
Yeah, I said, you know, do you remember? It's everybody that's listening, remember the Big Mac double bacon burger? Well, kind of sounds familiar, right? But then it's here and it's not. It's like, they always bring it. They always go, we brought it back. It's like holy shit. But it's planned. They totally planned to bring it back. In order to create demand, you take it away.
Like the McRib.
Yeah. You called it McRibs, McRibbing it, right? Like the McRibs went away, and it's every once in a while they find their way back. It's because they got to find a way to, like, we brought it back because it was so popular, right? It's like nostalgic, or it's the demand that was created. So some products have, you know, a bell curve, and it's like you have to leverage the curve. Sometimes you got to innovate, like Tony says, bringing something new in. And sometimes it's just more scarcity. And I think the bigger thing is, sometimes it's good to just take a step back, gives breathing room, and put some planning in place. And we were talking today about, you know, maybe taking the month of August off for Marketing Mondays until after Labor Day weekend or something. which we're agreeing to doing, right?
Yep.
So you guys can have a break of Marketing Mondays, but then it allows us a chance to kind of rethink, maybe look at revisiting the Get Up and Grow on Marketing Mondays and what we do to make it more valuable, and just do an assessment of how that can be better served. That planning process, sometimes everybody's always like, sometimes it's better to just pause, like whether it's your social channel, your marketing, your business. Like I've been finding myself in this phase where I've been build, go, change, serve, help, work nonstop since COVID, since the beginning of January. It was crazy. And I'm actually doing the same thing. I'm actually looking at the middle of August. I'm completely shutting her down.
Yeah.
I'm go into total stealth mode. I'm completely only working on my own internal brand that I'm launching, my book. I've got so many amazing things, and I'm just going to go into full immersion. It's not like I'm going to go and take a vacay. I'm just going to take a focused vacay on what I want to work on.
I love it. So on that, so we were talking about that, and what I'm going to do, and, I'm going to probably hit pause. I have a show tomorrow scheduled for tomorrow, but I'm going to hit pause for the month of August. And I think that sometimes just hitting pause on go is important. And it's not necessarily I'm not going to take the month of August off, because I've committed to doing 366 days of live video, as you know. So I'm still going to be doing those, because my integrity won't let me stop that. And we are going to put Tony Talks. We're going to McRib it, as we were talking about before, right? We're going to do like the McRib. We're going to hit pause on it for about a month and come back after.
I bet your wife will be stoked.
She will, because listen, half the time she's like, "Are you almost done? Dinner," because I'm on the East Coast, so it's 7:15 by the time I'm done, or by the time we're done, I should say. And that's every day, Monday through Friday. And believe it or not, it takes a significant amount of work to put a show together like this. Now, granted, it's a very free-flowing format, as you know. But still, to coordinate people around the country,
making sure that you're in a place that you can do it, just that alone.
Yeah.
Let alone actually setting it up, posting it, connecting it, talking to me, setting up behind the scenes, like the whole fucking thing. Like people that haven't done this probably have no idea. Someone that's got some inkling has a thing, but to do it consistently, it's pretty exhausting. I think you gold medal, man. Like this has been like you've done great.
Yeah, listen, I'm happy with the turnout. I've had people from South Africa, from Australia, from England, from Portugal, from Spain, from France, from Croatia, from I've had people from all over West Coast, East Coast. I haven't done China yet, or Japan, but I do have a guest that's coming on. It's from Japan, but he'll probably only be in September. But it's a significant amount of work, to be honest. So I am going to table it for now. So for the next month after tomorrow's show. So, nice. But there's going to be a lot of really great, exciting things that I'm already planning for September. We're going to do a biohack day, and that show might be a little bit more than an hour, or we'll split it, 2 45-minute sessions. Mm-hmm. So we're going to reinvent it and do a little bit of marketing and structuring and doing a little bit better for sure.
So, I think that'd be great. I think that people will enjoy that, and that's like a great opportunity to reset also your energy. How many times does just even having a little bit of it's new again kind of thing? The McRib's back, you got a little energy, So we're McRibbing it.
I've done the show even when I didn't feel so hot. I was a little under the weather. Sure. Beating me up. I think I don't know. Was it with you No, it wasn't with you. It was with Brian this Saturday. I don't know, because I'm having a little bit of work done here. It was concrete dust or something. Like had my allergies flared up, and I'm like, wipe my eyes and my nose, my nose is running. I'm sneezing.
Oh, you had one show with me and you were like your face was half swollen. So yeah, you've been.
Oh, we're in the B. Right. Hey, listen, the show must go on, right?
Totally.
So yeah, I think taking a bit of a pause for August to be great. My kids will appreciate it too. Like, they're saying, "Dad, come on, we're gonna go here, we're gonna go there." I'm like, I can't. It's 6 o'clock. So we'll see. We'll see how that goes, and we will come back on, and we'll probably do 3 days a week. So we'll have a little bit more time to also do marketing for the individual show when it's coming up. So give everybody a little bit more runway, and So I've loved every episode that we've had for sure. I mean, there's so much information, so much great content to learn, to absorb, and there's so much more to know. as the saying goes, there's no way we can ever anyone can ever learn everything there is to learn. So
this inspired me.
Essentialism. I got to pick that up. Hold on, let me add that to my queue.
And this one image sort of sums up the what has really been driving my. It's really good. It's like shows. Energy going in much different directions and focus and stuff, and it's really just balancing between needs of others, yourself, what's important, your purpose, and really defining what you need, whether it's clothes or things. So I'm kind of doing the wouldn't call it spring cleaning, I'd call it just sort of like really prioritizing so that we kick off. Because actually one of the other I'll give you a prediction. I actually think that in September, when we get back after a long weekend, Labor Day weekend, around the 15th of September on, I don't know why, but I just feel like there's going to be explosive amount of change. And the reason why I think that is because it's been about, since COVID started, I've noticed that a lot of people that I know that have kind of gone stealth, that are building stuff, they're all launching with shit like in September. And I'm like, how much stuff is going to change? And think about Netflix or Microsoft or Google that have been going, okay, well, we're in the state, the world's changed, we need to do this. That they've been in development, and it's like it's been rapid, crazy development. Plus, the world's changing at a faster pace. It's like I think the rate of change is just accelerating still. I do not think. I mean, I think some people are like, "Oh my god, I wish it would slow down." But I actually think it's speeding up. And right now, it feels like it's kind of coasted, but I don't think it is. I actually think in September we're going to be in another bump of rapid, exciting change for innovation.
I think you're absolutely right. I think that it's an exciting time. It's time of concern, and there's a lot of fear and a lot of skepticism. There's a lot of anxiety, but it's been a time of change. And
I was talking about the fear and anxiety. I'm talking about the positive side. There's like all these people that
but at the same time,
developing, working like little worker bees on technology, because I'm seeing all these future forecasts of platforms and stuff in tech and marketing technology. And I'm like, yeah, there's going to be some big, cool stuff coming about.
Yeah, listen, I was only halfway through that statement. You're absolutely right. But there's so much of that.
Sorry.
There's so much. It's like there's so much excitement and energy that's been dammed up, because think about all these people that have been so busy, these brilliant minds, these creative thinkers that were always so busy that they couldn't think. And then they were put in a position where they had, listen, innovation is spawned by necessity. And we have had some serious necessity over the last couple of months, right? Of evolution, of things changing, of innovation. So think about all those people that were sitting at home thinking, what would make this better? If we did this, or, hey, how about that? Or how about the other thing? And I think that they've spent the last couple of months working on these things, right? Collaborating because they've had more time. I mean, I don't know. I haven't had any more time, and I know you haven't either. But there's been enough people that have actually had more time to work on their creative projects or whatever it is. So I think it's an exciting time. For as many people.
I think a lot of the change that's happening is some of it was already going to happen anyways. It just accelerated it.
I couldn't agree more.
Like some of it, like the whole virtual work from home and all that. You think about like that was like, oh, it's because of COVID. I'm like, it was already happening. It was already, but it was already inevitable to some degree. I mean, so it just accelerated it.
Yeah, I think you're right.
More systemically across the globe. Like I talked to, I had an interview, a podcast with Morgan Mason, Mason, sorry, I pronounced his name wrong. And he's a world-renowned surf photographer. And I was like, oh man, so like you're not traveling around the world doing, photo shoots. Like I was like, oh my God, he must be totally shut down. He's like, oh no. He goes, it was awesome. He goes, all my stock footage, now that because there's no filming, his stock footage library of stuff he's already shot, he became more profitable because now already wanted the stock footage because he's got all this, like I licensed freaking epic content. I paid for it handsomely, happy to do it to differentiate myself. And because he's just such a really unique, fine surf photographer, and just getting like these really rare images was really important to me. But he's just like he's totally redirected. He goes, well, now I'm only doing shoots in California. But the good news is I don't have to travel to them. They're coming here. And it used to be crews of about 12, which is more complicated for me to finish my shoots because he also does commercial shoots for like Mercedes-Benz stuff. There are 3 people. So he's like, not only is it easier, I'm making more money, my all that stuff. Now I've got a pent-up demand for when this does come out. I've got bookings waiting for it to come out. So now I've got actually predictable instead of it being project-based. So I totally had it wrong. I'm like, oh, I never thought about that. So to me, that's a really interesting way. How many times I think that I'm on top of this stuff mostly. And even in this space where I had a business in this space and I completely misread that he was thriving, not like concerned at all. And I was like, wow, I just got schooled. Like, that's a good lesson for me to kind of like keep recasting how we look at these things and how different situations are, because in his situation, he was able to pivot graciously, actually.
Yeah, it's been crazy. I mean, obviously I live in New Jersey, so we're like the suburb of Manhattan.
Yeah.
And, and the real estate market was just getting crushed just because nobody's buying. It's COVID, this and that. Let me tell you something. We're due for a correction anyway. But let me tell you something. The amount of activity that has been happening in the real estate industry, and we're back to like 2008. People are outbidding each other because there's so many people coming in from New York. They're losing 400,000 people a week. A month.
Do you know that places like Destiny, like Denver and stuff, are like exploding?
Yeah, because everybody's getting away from the big cities, and Denver's still a big city, but it's not, right? It's a small city.
Or whatever city, it doesn't matter. It's almost like what used to be, I need to be in the big city to survive. Now I'm like, now it's accepted that I could be somewhere else and work somewhere else.
That's it, exactly.
So like now people are going, where do I want to live?
That's right.
The only reason I'm living in New York is because I thought I had to be there to be in the center of business, when really I've learned how to thrive and be in center of business with being in my apartment in New York. I'd rather be somewhere where I have like a yard like you do with a beehive and all that stuff.
Right. And listen, and what's happening is there's so many people that are leaving because a lot of people in New York for 2 things: A, for the work; B, for the nightlife, the camaraderie, the livelihood, and everything else. And that's all shut down. It's reopened again, but not in the same way. I had someone reach out to me that owns that owns a successful restaurant that was super successful, but they've been closed. And even here, it doesn't matter. You have restaurants that have 40, 50 tables inside, and now they're like, oh, we have outdoor dining. Great. There's like 8 tables outside or 10. You can't possibly, your bills haven't decreased. You can't possibly sustain that. It's not sustainable. Now, takeout is helped and everything else, but there's so many people that are hurting still from this. But anyway, going back to the city, the reason, a couple of main reasons that people in the city, for the shows, for the bars, and that restaurants, it's not really there in the same way that it was before. So people are saying, why am I still in the city? So there's a huge rush out of the city. And I'm sure that every big city is happening to them. It's probably happening in Dallas. It's probably happening, in San Francisco. It's probably happening in Chicago. All those high-rise apartments where people were shut in a 1 or 2 bedroom apartment that you couldn't really go anywhere. If you did, you had to put your kid in the elevator and go down. And, people freaked out about that. So there's just been an explosion of activity in some businesses, and some are just still hurting. And one of the things I've been talking to a buddy of mine, Jason Cisneros, is about what's happening with the middle class. The middle class is getting smashed right now, and it's only getting worse. And I don't know. I hate to think that it's by design, but I think it's by design for whatever reason. But we really got to do something, and I hope that people who are watching this are using the strategies and the tools that we share here to be able to build and enhance their business. Because what we need to do as a country and really as a society is support those middle class businesses, support the small businesses. Maybe don't buy as much from Amazon, don't buy it. And I've been guilty of this as well. And support some of the local businesses, because the tragedy about, and we weren't going to go here, but now we just kind of.
We're already here. This is the decimation of small business, family-owned business, small business, decimated.
And the tragedy, here's the tragedy, and people don't understand. People are like, oh, so what? Well, no, not so what.
80% of the employment.
Not only that, but the importance of the middle class. I'm getting the chills as I'm about to say. It's the importance of the middle class. Look, I'm an immigrant. I came here from Portugal as a kid. My parents didn't have didn't have anything and struggled, to pay the bills and put food on the table and everything else. And the thing is, to be able to go from let's say upper lower or lower middle, let's say that upper lower middle is the same thing, to get to the upper class or lower upper class or whatever it is, you have the middle class, and you can grow through that pretty well if you put in the time, you put in the effort. The smaller that lower class becomes, the bigger the chasm between the lower class and the upper class, and it's that much more difficult to jump from one to the other. It's going to be that much harder. So it's important for us to support those small businesses, to support that middle class, to support, the local community businesses, because before you know it, you're going to miss that ice cream shop. You're going to miss that coffee shop. You're going to miss that little store on the corner, the convenient grocery store on the corner that you can just go to for a gallon of milk, at 9:00 at night. You're going to miss it because it's not going to be there.
And there's not going to be quickly jump back because of what's happened. It's not going to be easily funded. They're not going to get the funding they want to come back as a new business. Like in most recessions, businesses go away, but then they end up coming back. I don't think the bounce back is going to be the same in this. I think because the world's changed.
Well, the world's changed, and the people that again, like I said, that person with a very successful restaurant wants to get into real estate because real estate's doing well right now. And they said, listen, Tony, I'm not going to be able to support the restaurant for more than another month or two. If they don't let me fill my restaurant, I'm not going to be able to hold on for more than another 2 months.
Yeah, people will just
been there for years.
Clients, they go, oh, well, they just do more takeout. It's not that easy. And most restaurants make their money on upselling desserts and booze. I was in the
and alcohol. Absolutely.
Yeah, it's and you can't do that. That's taken away. You're taking away so much from they're crippled.
Absolutely.
And we all want to eat, and it's such a amazing to see what's gonna I still feel like how many businesses are gobbling up their savings and hoping it's going to come back, and then they're just going to die on the vine. They'll have no more savings, but they try to hold their business together. That's why I think that the change is about to happen is also we're at a tipping point starting in September in Canada, especially because there's support payments that can happen for you for an entrepreneur, and if you're displaced, and it ends in August. And when those people don't have that money and they're still haven't figured something out, there's going to be a lot of defaults that's going to happen. So there's always a bit of a echo effect or a residue effect. And I believe we're kind of entering the September in massive more innovation, also more change, and maybe more uncomfortableness. And so I think that's going to compound some massive change. So that's my prediction is when we come back to meet, we're going to be at the beginning of a massive change.
Yeah. Listen, the change is upon us. Right?
Yeah,
as they say, change is part of life. It's inevitable, but growth is an option, right? You can learn and grow and expand, but it's going to be difficult because it's like you said. There's so many people that are hanging on. The local hardware store that that stayed closed, and then the hardware stores actually opened up pretty quickly. But all the local stores, the restaurants, the bars. Listen, I had a bar restaurant. The only reason I had a kitchen was so I can sell the alcohol because of where I was. It was more of like an afternoon and an evening shift, and you couldn't sell just liquor. You had to have a kitchen, so I had a kitchen for that. But all those restaurants, all those stores that have been closed and haven't reopened, the movie theaters, all those people that worked in all of these industries haven't been making any money either. Now, granted, they've been on getting unemployment, but now they just extended it for another week. I think they're extending it for another week, and they're saying we want another $600, and the debate goes on. On the right, they want to drop it down to 200. On the left, they want to keep it at 600. They're like, well, it's not true what they say that people are making more money on unemployment. Actually, it is true. I know my neighbor across the way has a collection company, and he says he still hasn't gotten back 2 of his employees because they don't want to come to work because they're making more money staying home. So it really is happening regardless of who wants to say what. And I'm not picking sides one way or the other, but something's got to change. The reality of it is there's so many people being affected by the businesses not being able to close. And even the restaurants, you think the restaurants are at full staffing capacity? They're not. They're not.
Well, and what people don't understand is that a restaurant, sometimes they have to sign a personal guarantee with the leasehold because they did leasehold improvements. And so it's not as easy as shutting down and walking away like a corporation is. They can't just file Chapter 11 and wash their hands of it. They're personally liable for it.
Not only not only are they personally liable, now you're talking about something that I'm very well versed. I can say I'm an expert in it, but I can't say I'm an expert in it. But you are signing it with your personal guarantee. You did go into that restaurant a year ago and dump $250,000 to make it just an amazing, beautiful place with all new, top of the line, this and that. That you haven't gotten that money back yet, and that was the equity you pulled on your house, right? So you haven't gotten that. You're not able to continue to go. And then now, okay, they're going to be evicted. They're going to close down. Okay, but now the landlord is also not going to be able to rent it that quickly because who's going to rent the restaurant? There's so much going on. And then my kids do fencing, and the idiot that owns the building, they're on a month to month, so he's nearly tripling their rent because I guess he might have a new prospective person. So it's a 501c3 charity, and this guy's looking to triple his rent. He's not going to survive. This guy's having a hard time surviving now to pay, to pay the rent he's paying now, and the guy's looking to triple. And by the way, it's double digits. So tripling double digits is not an easy thing to do. And this guy's already treading water and drowning, swallowing a lot of water. So there's going to be a big impact here on real estate values. Listen, it's going to run deep. So it's interesting. I'm curious to see where we're going to go because we're in for some interesting times, folks. But again, look at it with positive anticipation instead of fear and dread, because so many people are looking at it with fear and dread. But just remember that there's opportunity in everything.
Well, it's more of a warning sign.
Yeah.
And I guess now more than ever would it be important to, if marketing is a core part of your business and the world's changing, to invest in learning, getting coaching. Like that's a place to invest in. And not watch that Netflix series and maybe take a course, maybe try more personal engagement with because whatever state you're in today, that my unfortunate anticipation is that it's going to be harder tomorrow. Yeah. I think we're in for a little harder. So you need to, if you kind of like don't want to look back and go, yeah, I kind of just like, lived in fear, or I was hoping it was going to go away. So I'd say instead of like, are you waiting? I would say, start creating.
Yeah, hopium is not. It's a bad drug. Hopium.
Totally true.
Don't take it. If it may feel good for a little while, but it ain't gonna last. So
it's like, it's like running at and thinking a little bit about what can you do in this, and don't assume. I don't think Humpty Dumpty goes back together again.
Not in the same way. You can't put all the pieces back together again. It can't.
People will say, they'll go, yeah, I know that's kind of true. Like it will never be the same,
So
it's like never going to be the same. Like it's like this is different.
Yeah,
like travel will be different.
Well, so how and the question that everybody needs to ask themselves is, how can I stand out? How can I do better? How can I innovate? How can I create? And I think this is an important part. How can I reach out to my existing customers? Because here's the thing that everybody needs to remember. It's a lot more cost effective and inexpensive, much better investment to court and maintain and work with and do more business with your existing clients than it is to get new ones. So I'd encourage everybody, reach out. Whether you have a restaurant, if you have a mailing list on your restaurant, mail out to them. Call a couple of people. Call a couple of people that are your top customers that are always showing up with people. Whether you own a barbershop, a hair salon, whether you're a car wash, whatever industry that you're in that you're hurting right now. Who are some of your top customers? Reach out to them, engage with them, stay engaged, because when things turn around, the only way that you're going to thrive is if people are going to want to come out to you specifically, not just to go to a restaurant, but to go to your restaurant, not just to go to a hair salon, but to go to your hair salon, right?
Yeah. Maybe look at what's changing. Like, so if people's buying habits have changed and people have less money, I believe that we're entering into this incredibly heavily laden do-it-yourself economy and gig economy, where the two things together is going to create the need for personal brands, where you're always going to be. I don't think the idea of getting employment and contract like gainful long term, I think it's going the other way. It's going to go shorter. So you're gonna it's gonna be more acceptable to move around. So you have to be more marketable for yourself. But the do-it-yourself, like what can you do with do-it-yourself? Like if you have a restaurant and you got takeout and you got like your small restaurant, maybe it's like totally pivot and add into it a do-it-yourself menu where you have the ingredients, you have the wholesale capability, you compile the recipes, you give them the recipe and let them do it yourself. Because people are willing to that's another step where people are now getting very accustomed. So here's a telling trend. Do you know that Amy Schuler, right, the comedian? Mm-hmm. So she did a totally low budget cooking with Amy, almost like joke-like a cooking show, where they shot it with their camera and their nanny with this little shitty camera, and they did their whole show with cardboard boxes and everything. It won an Emmy.
What?
Yeah. Why?
Outside the box thinking, original and best.
It was unfiltered, real. People could relate to it, and it's sort of like where people's mindsets are a little bit now, where they're going, how can I be resourceful, do more with less? I can relate to that. I'm confined like that. She's bringing her dogs, like plugging her, the babies. They got her on the baby on the doing, it's totally, completely real. It's great.
Raw,
and she's scripted. So to me, she won an Emmy for, I think it's showing where an Emmy typically would have gone to someone who made a Star Wars level of production. You know what I mean? Like Anthony Bourdain won an Emmy, right, for his cooking show, but yet he had the travel, he had a production crew, shot like a documentary. It's like at a high level of production value. That to me is an example of do it yourself, kind of like thinking resourceful and still winning an Emmy. Like she just literally the whole idea, the backstory of that, you've got to go Google, look at it. Amazing. It was almost like on a lark. So
are you saying that I should have shot a video of my building my boulder wall, my 100-foot boulder wall this weekend, or you're repurposing the wood from my sunroom to redo the inside of the chicken coop, or all that stuff? I probably should have shot video.
Well, I don't know. I mean, if you're going to have a show, you have to have an audience to do it. Maybe like she made a show about that. But I think the do-it-yourself is like how many people are trying to still serve in the way that it used to be before. Think about people's change. Some people are now going, I'm home alone anyways. I might as well just try to do it myself. So I'm leaning into the do-it-yourself where I'm actually creating massive amount of direction, like focus on helping entrepreneurs do it yourself or marketers do it yourself at a higher caliber, where they can do a lot of this stuff, where I'm like shifting into that because I think that's where people are going to be doing more of it.
Yeah, I agree with you. One of the things that you said before, and it made sense, and I saw that somebody was doing it, but I'm surprised that more people aren't doing it. This would have been, and there's still time to do this. If you're a restaurant out there, and I had seen this early on, and you just struck on it. How about, it's dinner for two. It's 2 steaks or whatever, 2 veggie burgers, whatever, 2 pieces of fish, whatever it is that you're into, and if a restaurant would just say, just prepackage it, like here are all the ingredients, here's the little tubs with the seasoning, with this seasoning, that seasoning, that way you just go home, open the box. And again, I know that it's already being done, but it's not being done anywhere near as much as it should. Instead of taking home 2 bags of takeout food prepared, you take out 2 bags of food that's already cut, chopped. All you got to do is go home, put it together, throw it in the pan, throw it in the oven, and you made it yourself with instruction. I think that's still.
And it was your favorite meal you had at the restaurant, so it's like, but you did it at home,
Yeah.
So
I think that's because you want to talk about because somebody will learn how to make the recipe just by, having the ingredients, seeing what the ingredients prepared already are. And you can even have levels of, hey, listen, you want it cooked, it's this price. You want it all prepared, but already all cut up and diced and everything else, it's this price. You want just the raw ingredients and you do it yourself, it's this price.
Oh, I think there's an entire new, here's my prediction of an industry that hasn't arrived yet that I think will happen. A do-it-yourself delivery system, which is all your favorite kind of foods and recipes. There'll be a library of recipes. Go, oh, yeah, I kind of want to do that. But you'll get delivered like 4 different prepackaged, ready to go, all do it yourself, fresh ingredients, and you'll do it at home. And they'll have the recipe, they'll have the cooking time, and then you'll get them like sort of like in stages to make it feel like you're still eating at a restaurant, but we're still at home, and it's also cheaper. But it's great because the person that's doing it, you're just doing the raw ingredients, you're just packaging stuff like as if a wholesaler. So you're basically getting all of wholesale with none of the expense of that, plus a predictable sale if you do a subscription model, you know?
Absolutely. Fully cooked, onions and carrots are diced, or onions and carrots aren't diced, kind of thing, like the 3 different levels of service. And I think that would be great, because it will teach you how to cook, because you'll see the ingredients. You're like, oh, I didn't have to. Maybe it's like,
someone's probably already doing this.
Yeah.
But, you know, but if somebody was to bring them all together, where it's like you got a menu of like, I want Chinese, so you didn't have to go to different suppliers like restaurants. They just basically are the do-it-yourself delivery business, and all they have is do-it-yourself packages. Like that would be a company right now that would go explosive.
Yeah, I think you're right. Listen, let's talk to somebody about it, because that is an idea, my friend. Because again, there's people that are, you know, you get the pre-made meals and you put them in, and they're keto meals or vegetarian, they're this or that, whatever. You put them in and you just put them in the microwave for 3 minutes, which I think is terrible, because the microwave
are already getting their fucking groceries delivered.
So why not have them pre-portioned exactly what it is? And guess what? Are you kind of selling yourself out of a job? Yeah, because they can learn how to make the recipe, cook it them, and get it themselves for half the price. Cool.
So imagine somebody that licensed, so you could go to all the 5-star chefs and ask them to license one of their signature dishes. Like I just watched on Master Chef, Gordon Ramsay's beef Wellington. It was unbelievably intricate, and I wanted to watch it again. And I'm like, I tried to inspire my brother-in-law, who's like super detail-oriented and a great cook. I kind of said, hey, go check out that Master Chef. Like, if you ever want to make something amazing for you, like make that, because it's really fucking hard. But I'm like, he gave away his recipe of like the most. He's done over 1 million Wellingtons or something, or 10 billion or something. It's pretty ridiculous how many he's made. And he brought back the Wellington. Well, he gave away the recipe. Why couldn't somebody license recipes from all the top of all time 5-star chef dishes and have it do-it-yourself? You know what people would love to go, that's how you.
I made it myself.
So taking it takes the cookbook. All it does is it pulls down one recipe, all the ingredients. You have to do maybe the chopping and whatever else, and then you can experience it, and then you can go, oh, now I know how to make it. I can do it myself. You know, and it's kind of like gets you started, but also can make you look like a hero if you're not a good cook.
And you really are cooking it. You really are cooking. You really are making it. But again, if everything's pre-portioned for you already, maybe, like I said, I think it's a great idea. We should have had this conversation not live, because now somebody else is going to take it. But if you're out there, and
I have so many ideas. I have so many ideas, and that's, you know, because I'm constantly like iterating. I'm doing these ideation sets. So I do this. One of the things I never talked about what I offer half time, but one of the things I offer is I do these for 5K. I do 4 2-hour ideation sessions. So I'm involved with people ideating new products, new services, new lines, new way of thinking, new business model, new financial models, like you name it. And so I've been doing this like at a ongoing, never-ending pace. So I'm like already rigged for this sort of thing.
I love it. This is what fires me up. That's why we started having this conversation. This is what fires me up as well. I love it. It's the creative part of my mind that goes on. But absolutely, listen. If you're out there, you're watching, you think that that's a great idea, you want to get involved, hit me and Scott up. You know, maybe we'll be involved.
Yeah.
So, listen, brother, I appreciate it. We had said that this was going to be a shorter session, 30, 35 minutes. We're at 50 minutes again. But listen, this is always fun, man. Look, I appreciate you for everything that you do and who you are and how you show up in the world. And thank you for being on Marketing Mondays every freaking Monday for the last 3 or 4 months. It's been amazing. And I look forward to what September is going to bring, and the rest of the year, the last quarter of the year, what it's going to bring and how exciting it's going to be, because you know what? There's a lot of exciting things on the horizon. And I, for one, am looking forward to it. You know, again, Tony Robbins says this all the time: where your focus goes, your energy flows. All the bad things that are happening in life and in the world are there. They're available. You can choose to look at all those bad things and live in that mindset. But you know what? Those things are always available. You know what else is available? The good things in life. And it doesn't matter if it's 50 bad things and 2 good things. Focus on the good, and the good will expand, and you can feel good about it. Focus on the bad, and the bad shit will expand, and you'll feel terrible about it, and you'll get handicapped, and you'll get stagnated, and you'll get stuck in the paralysis of analysis and everything else. Focus on the good. Focus on what's working, and focus on the solution, not on the problem. And I hope that over the last couple of months, you've gotten that from Scott and myself. and from the other shows that I do on a daily basis. And I look forward to having Scott back again in September. And for everyone who's watching live, thank you so much for watching live. Thank you so much for supporting us and for your questions, your comments, or whether you're watching live or replay. Thank you for that. And we appreciate you for showing up each and every time, and for what you're doing to make this world a better place, to grow your business, to make more impact, because at the end of it, that's what it's about. Mr. Scott Martin, any final words for this season?
Like for you to get up and grow, between now and September is, maybe in August when it seems so easy to kind of maybe kick back and chillax, just go, how can you create some space for yourself, some thinking time, but apply some creative thinking, maybe some ideation, maybe some learning on some new stuff that you want to get exposed to. So it kind of gets you out of your norms, and really think about sort of September being like maybe a fresh start. And I think that the month of August here is a great time for a reset, because I feel common to a lot of people is they got what they call our, Zoom fatigue, or just fatigue overall. And, maybe just getting a reset and getting ready for a new time is probably going to serve you better. Even though like we've got all this, like sometimes it feels like I got to keep working because I got to make sure I stay on top of things. Maybe just you got to step back to leap forward. So
absolutely. Listen, as an arrow,
McRib back.
That's it. Bring back the McRib. But you know what? Something that I haven't posted in a while, but I've got it in the queue to post is, an arrow could only be shot forward by first being pulled back. With that tension, it's being pulled back, that tension. And now you feel like you're being pulled back. I'm like, why am I being pulled back? But in any second, when you release, that thing just goes. So sometimes you need to pull back in order to launch forward.
Agreed.
So I appreciate that, brother. And my friends, remember that life is not about how many times you fall. It's about getting up after every fall. If you fall down 7 times, you get up 8 or 9 or 10 or however many times you've got to get up. And it's in falling down that you learn. It's in getting up that you grow. And every single time you fall, you have an opportunity to get up and grow. And grow we must. Because if you don't grow through what you go through, you keep going through it. And do remember, sometimes life is very much like that arrow. You got to be pulled back in order to be propelled forward. So I appreciate you all. Thank you so much for watching. We do have another show tomorrow, so I look forward to seeing you then. Scott, I appreciate you, brother. Thank you,
dude.
Man. Appreciate you, man.
Awesome. Thank you for having me on all this time. So I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Ciao for now.
See you guys.